I'm not going to my best friend's wedding because she replaced me as her maid of honor. I've known my best friend, let's call her Kayla, since we were kids. Our moms were long-term friends, so when they were having daughters at the same time, they basically forced us to be friends, which worked out because we love each other. We went to the same schools growing up. Then we went to college together. We joined the same sorority. We lived together all 4 years. I mean, this girl is like my other half. We've also never been in a real fight in our entire friendship. We've bickered before because we were tired about dumb stuff, but it's always been over the next day. I will say, Kayla's fatal flaw is that she loves what's new and shiny. For example, when she started dating her now fiance in college, it was like her friends didn't exist anymore. We just stopped seeing her, and it's because she was so excited about her new relationship that all of her old friends, we were old news. She actually lost a lot of friends because of this, but I loved her so much, I stuck it out, and I just kept inviting her to hang out all the time and just appreciated the time she did say yes. She also has a habit of becoming best friends with somebody that she just meets, thinks they're like the best person in the world, is obsessed with them, plans trips with them, says that they're gonna be best friends for life, and then a month later, they just don't even talk anymore. And when I'm like, oh, what happened to so-and-so? She's like, oh yeah, I don't know. I haven't talked to her in a while. And then they never talk again. Like, it's not even like they have a falling out. She just becomes bored. When Kayla got engaged last year, excited was an understatement. We have been picturing our dream wedding since we were kids, and I was so excited to help her plan. But another thing about Kayla, her vision is a lot bigger than her budget. Kayla asked me to be her maid of honor, and as soon as I said yes, she started showing me the ideas she had for her wedding, and I had no idea what I got myself into by saying that I would help her with the decorations. I offered to help. I'm super crafty, and I knew that I could do a lot of those things for a lot less cost. And I even pitched in some of my own money for decorations that I was making because I love her and I wanted her wedding to be exactly how she dreamed it to be. So yeah, I have put in countless sleepless nights and over $1,000 buying and making decorations for her wedding. From posters to balloon art, literally everything. Here's where the problem starts. About 2 months ago, me and Kayla go to our friend's house party, and there we meet a new girl named Megan. Now, Megan was super cool, super nice, but for some reason, Kayla was obsessed with her. The whole way home, she was just talking about how amazing this girl was, how she's so smart, how she's so successful, how she wants to be just like her, all of these things, which I was like, oh, here we go. It's gonna be a new month-long best friend. And I was right. Immediately, Kayla and Megan were hanging out all the time and never inviting me. I'm kind of like the person that's like the more the merrier. I want my friends to all be friends with each other. So it was really weird to me when I would ask Kayla if she wanted to hang out on Thursday, and she was like, I'm already doing something with Megan. And I was like, oh, can I come? And she was like, no, it's kind of more of like a one-on-one thing. And slowly but surely, Kayla was taking longer and longer to respond to my texts. She wasn't answering my calls. She was always too busy, which, girl, you're not that busy. At first, I chalked it up to the wedding and that she was busy with that. But then I realized I was doing way more for her wedding than she was. And I still had time to hang out with her. And I realized she had all the time in the world to be hanging out with Megan. They were hanging out all the time because she was always posting it on her social media. Last week, I finally sat down with Kayla after literally not seeing her for almost a month, even though I was trying all the time. And this is because her wedding was literally a month away and we needed to go over some final logistics. But during this conversation, she's looking really nervous. And finally, I'm like, girl, what is up with you? And she's like, I have to tell you something, but I don't want you to get upset, okay? And I was like, okay, what? And she goes, I've been thinking about it a lot, and I decided that I want Megan to be my maid of honor. And I was really taken aback, but at first I thought she meant joint maid of honors, and I was like, okay, that's fine, whatever you want. And she was like, oh, great, so you're okay just being a bridesmaid? I was like, wait, you're not talking about, you want me out, kicked out, just bumped to the back of the line. And she was like, I love you so much, but at this time in my life, I just feel like Megan is my best friend in the world. And I was like, your best friend in the world? She was like, yeah, I've hardly even seen you the last few months. I'm like, oh, really? Really? You know what? Because I asked you to hang out, but you're always busy with Megan. And I guess maybe I've just been busy doing all of the decorations for your wedding. And she was like, yeah, and you know, I so appreciate that, and I love you, and that's why I'm so excited that you're gonna be my wedding party. I was speechless. I was sitting there just like dumbfounded. And you know, this girl has done this to me my whole life. She's always finding a new friend, replacing me for a few months, and then when she gets bored of that friend, comes back to old reliable. But I need to know my worth. I always say it with men, but I guess I've never said it with friends, and especially when it comes to Kayla. And I know this was petty, but I look her right in the eye and I say, honestly, I don't really want to go to a wedding that's going to have no decorations. And her face falls because she knows that at my apartment, that's where all of her decorations for her wedding are. Like, I made 75-80% of the decorations for her wedding. So without the stuff that I spent money on and put hours and hours into, she's just like not really gonna have any decorations at all. She was like, oh my gosh, Kelsey, you would never do that to me. And I was like, well, I never thought that you would do this to me, but guess we're both mistaken today. Her entire family has been calling me non-stop about the decorations, not about what she did to me. No, they just really want these decorations. And I said, you can have them. You just have to pay for the cost that I spent on them, plus the time that I put into them. I told them that now Megan's her maid of honor, so if she wants help with the decorations, that is not my responsibility anymore. Now the wedding is quickly approaching, and I am not budging. I'm not answering any of Kayla's calls or texts, mostly because they're all about the decorations. Like, she does not even care how much she hurt me. I love Kayla, but I'm not going to be her doormat anymore. I don't know, maybe the holding the decorations hostage is a little much. Maybe I should just give them to her and let that be that, but I don't know. I spent so much time and money on those, and she just threw me to the side like I was nothing, so it just doesn't feel right.
Get ready with me while I tell you guys a story about my fake best friend and how I became best friends with her sister. We're gonna use code names. So my ex-best friend is Pink, okay? So Pink was best friends with some other girl. We're gonna name her Blue. So Pink was friends with Blue, but I been knowing Blue for a while, so we just all became a trio. Well, that's what I thought. So Pink invited me to a birthday party, so I went. So I went to the party, and then we started talking, right? And then Pink brought one of her friends that I never met. And Pink's sister was saying that that girl wasn't a good influence and that she just... So Pink goes and grabs her friend while I'm in the bounce house with Pink's sister. She takes her inside and she tells us to say hi to her. So I'm like, okay, hi. But then she gave me a stink face. So I was like, okay, if you're gonna give me a stink face, then you could go with her and I'll just be with your sister. They gave all of us a stink face and then they just left the bounce house. And I told Pink's sister, is she okay? Should we talk to her? And they're like, no, she always gets like this. I was like, oh. Then I goes on and I end up leaving. So before I left, I gave Pink a hug and I told her bye, and she just gave me a side hug and didn't even tell me bye. Okay, acting like that in your own home at a party is crazy, but okay. Mind you, the whole night that I wasn't hanging out with her, I was telling her sister, should I talk to her? Should I invite her? They were all like, no, because she always gets like this. There's no point in trying. I'm like, okay. But then when I get home, Pink texts me. She texts me talking about something that I left her out and that I was being rude. But I'm like, don't leave out the part where you left me to go with your friends. I look a little white, trust the process. But so then we're arguing back and forth. And I'm like, okay, whatever. You do you and I'll do me. We don't have to be friends. But then they invite me to another party, but this time it wasn't Pink, it was her sister. So I go to a party and it's me, her sister, and her two friends. So we're all sitting at a table and then she just comes. We're all like, okay, whatever. But the only reason why she sat with us because Blue wasn't gonna go. And then, what was it? I think someone brought up that Blue wasn't coming. And then she was like, oh yeah, and have you guys seen her stories and everything she's been posting? She said that she was posting weird stuff and we're confused. We're like, oh, what is she posting? And then she pulled up the screenshots and everything that she was showing us. She showed us the screenshot and we were all confused because it was something that she shouldn't be doing and she was in a relationship. So I'm like, oh, isn't she in a relationship? And she was like, yeah, that's the weird part. I was okay. And then I tried switching the subject, but she tried to keep talking about her. So I'm like, whatever. And then we all had a group chat besides her, because, you know. We had a group chat, so we were just texting that she was just trying to create problems. And then whatever. She goes to her room while we're in the living room. And we just all, like, start having fun. I'm inviting her to come hang out with us, and she's just ignoring me and saying that she's okay. So then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna let her be, you know, like, I already asked her if she wanted to hang out. She said no, so I'm like, okay. Then we end up having a sleepover, and I invited her. I'm like, you wanna come with us? She said, no, I'll sleep in my room. Okay. Whatever, the next morning, like, we hang out, whatever, and then I go to my house. She texts me talking about something that I was leaving her out and that I wasn't inviting her. So then I'm like, no one left you out. I was asking if you wanted to hang out. You said no. I'm not going to keep coming into your room every 5 minutes asking you if you want to hang out if the first time you said no. If you change your mind, I told her, if you change your mind, you could come. I told her that, so I don't have to keep going in that room. I just wanted to have fun. And then I end up texting her sister, like, I'm like, what is your sister talking about? And I send her screenshots. I end up texting her sister and telling her, like, what's going on with your sister? Telling me not to worry about her because she always gets like that with every single one of her friends. So then her sister starts talking to me and telling me that I don't need her, that she's just problematic. So then I'm like, you know what? If she's just trying to create problems with me, if she's gonna wanna fight all the time, I'm not gonna be her friend. So then her sister was like, okay, like, go ahead, like, no one's stopping you. So I stopped being her friend and I stopped being friends with her sister, which is my best friend now. Our first ever hangout was at the movie theaters. It was so much fun. Wait, I left a big old part. So you know how I said that Pink was talking shit about Blue? Apparently when we left her out that day, she ended up texting Blue saying that we were talking bad about her. But she was the one talking bad about her. And I guess Blue believed her. And then she started saying stuff to me and my friend and her other friends. And how my friend was also friends with her. She was like, you're really gonna listen to that? So then they ended up becoming a duo, and I became a duo with her sister, right? But at the end of the day, Pink became fake to everyone. She switched up her whole style. She just became weird because she wanted to be about, like, boys. And I know she might be watching this because I have her blocked and she'll be going on people's devices to look at my videos. So if you're watching this, yes, it's about you. Anyways, some people ask you for my lip combo. I got you. It's literally the same thing, but I get lip mask or like lip balm, whatever. Just put a little bit on your lips, but make sure they're not like glossy, so kind of like tweak it off, you know. Then I grab my NYX lip liner in the shade Vintage, and then I just line my lips. It looks funny, right? And then just rub your lips together, and just like that. Just in case you guys were wondering, who's my best friend? This is all us preparing for a game. Before I go, I just want to say, I'm so sorry for not being consistent. I've been so busy. But I'll definitely do another story time about how I got in a car crash.
Get ready with us to expose our school. Disclaimer, we did graduate high school, so this does not matter anymore. Okay, so we had this history teacher, right? And the history teacher was like such a creep. Like, he was so creepy. He was like creepy looking, creepy acting. We're in his class, geography, and one day we like noticed he was like staring at our legs.
And mind you, this was the year we were allowed to wear skirts. Basically, we had to wear uniforms. And so we would sit at the back of the classroom facing him, and his desk would face us, and he would be staring
at our legs. Like, we're not even exaggerating. Like, multiple girls have like said like, oh yeah, he's such a creep. Like, he would look at my legs. Like, we're not lying.
He would watch the cheerleaders like after school hours. Like, nobody would be there except for like him and the coaches and
so weird. Okay, so I actually left his class because I had like a weird like encounter thing with him after school one day. And so like I left his class and like I reported him to the principal, and she basically told us like he's different. Like, while this grown man is looking at little girls' legs, like, you're telling me, oh, he's different. While he's watching cheerleaders, he's different.
Yeah.
That's not real. But anyways, yeah, nothing ever happened to him, so he's literally still at our school as we speak.
And also that same year when we were freshmen, we had 4 English teachers in 1 year because nobody wanted to keep their job.
We started off with this English teacher. She was mean.
Okay, so she left within like 2 weeks of the school starting. Then we had a second English teacher, and he literally was there for 2 days, and he only talked about his personal life. And then we had a third. Got fired because she stopped showing up. We had to sub for like 3 weeks, and she came back one day and she never came back again.
And then we had like the final teacher, which like we love her.
Yeah.
Now we're getting into like the rules that were a little bit too much.
Okay, so first of all, we weren't allowed to have dirty shoes. Like, you had to keep your shoes clean or like beat up. They had to be like clean.
And another rule we also had was our hair could never be dyed. So aside from brown, blonde, black, that kind of thing, could never be like red, pink, like. And like boys would have to keep their beards like maintained. They couldn't grow their hair past like. One of our friends actually like got told that he needed to cut his hair because it was too long. I feel like that's a little ridiculous. Like, I get looking clean, but it's like everybody's their own person. Like, I feel like you should never tell anyone what to do with their hair
style.
Yeah.
You couldn't have any piercings. Like, you could have ear piercings, but nothing else. Like, guys also couldn't have ear piercings. I think if they had it, it had to be only in one ear, which at that point, just let them have the other one. Girls, they couldn't have like the nose piercing or the septum or anything except for one.
Come back for part 2.
Breaking news. The future is here, and it looks bright.
Get ready with me for school. I'll tell y'all story time why I'll never add random people on Snapchat like ever again. And I'm only telling you story time because a lot of y'all were asking for my snap. Well, not a lot of y'all, but a few. And yes, I know I shouldn't have been adding random people on Snapchat anyway, but I didn't really know better. But yeah, I didn't know any better. Like, I kind of did, but I didn't. Like, the story time was a while back. Like, 3 years ago. I don't know if it was just me that used to do this, but I used to add like a bunch of random people on Snap. So basically what happened, it was like just a random day, so I just added like, I first downloaded it, and then I started adding like a bunch of people. I don't know why I did that. I was acting like it was Roblox or something. But this was the first time I ever used Snapchat, so I didn't know any better. So a little bit later into the day, I get a notification saying somebody added me back. At first, I didn't really think much of it. I was just like, okay, cool. And for this story time, I would just call this guy Nick. And as soon as he like added me back, he started like messaging me. But I was like, okay, cool. This guy's like texting me, whatever. He said something like, hey, what's up? And I was like, hi, who are you? I don't know why I asked who he was, because I was the one that added him, I guess. I mean, he didn't have to add me back, but I just wanted to see if he was somebody from my school. Then he says, like, the name, like, some school after I asked him, like, what school he went to. So I wasn't really thinking much of it. I just said, okay, like, this guy's just some random guy, so I just closed the chat, you know? But then he starts typing again. But that's kind of when, like, things started getting weird, because he started asking me, like, some super specific questions. He was, like, asking me, like, where I went to school and stuff, and I was, like, super confused. And he was asking me where I lived and stuff, like, what? And I was so confused. I was like, why does this random guy want to know where I live and where I go to school? Like, he told me where he went to school first, but, like, I wasn't going to tell him. I don't even know you. So I ended up not answering him because, like, I'm not about to tell you all of that. Like, you just started texting. But then all of a sudden, I get another notification saying he messaged me again. So I open it, and bro legit sent me the same, like he sent me the street I lived on and stuff. And, like, I was like, what? So I didn't answer him again. I was just looking at it. I was like, what? And at the time, I didn't know, like, Snap, like, showed, like, where your location was. So now that I'm looking back at it, that's probably how he knew where I lived. So bro sends me my street and stuff, and, like, I'm freaking out. I'm like, what? How does he know where I live? So he sends me my address, basically, like, my street I live on. And then he's like, is this where you live? And obviously I'm not going to tell him that, so I say no. Then he says, okay, good, because I'm outside right now. I don't know who this man is. Wait, let me get back to my makeup. And if you made it this far into the Get Rid of Me, please, well, /storytime, please comment for you page. So after that, I legit just blocked him, and, like, I looked outside, and I saw, like, this rundown car that I'd never seen before, like, ever in my neighborhood, because there's usually never any cars, and I couldn't see the inside of it, but I don't know. But yeah, I just blocked him and like I never heard from that guy again. I ended up deleting Snapchat, so now I have a new account, but that was like a really crazy thing that happened to me. Okay, so that's it for now, guys. So thank you so much for watching. And if you're from my school, click off this account. But not really though. You can stay if you want. Also, sorry for making this video so long. Bye, guys.